With the Marvel Rivals console beta over, I wanted to give my thoughts on it because I honestly think this game is a way better game than Overwatch has ever been, mainly speaking about Overwatch 2. Before I go any further as to why I believe this, I want to make it clear I am not the biggest Marvel fan. There's some characters I do like, but that's just because I'm a fighting game player, and I played so much of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 as a kid that those specific characters are basically nostalgia. So if it sounds like I'm glazing Marvel Rivals, it's not because I care about the MCU or because I've read the comics. To be honest, I don't give a shit about them. Now, I don't know if you guys have realized, but every character in Marvel Rivals isn't some brain-dead character like in Overwatch. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean, the characters in Overwatch basically play themselves, where the abilities are just press and forget. Moria is a perfect example of this. Throw your heal orb out, forget about it. Throw your damage orb out, forget about it. Your main attack also basically sticks to your opponent and requires basically no effort to track your opponent. Oh, but Scarlet Witch does the same thing. Yes and no. Scarlet Witch, while she does have Moria's main attack, for one, it doesn't do as much damage as Moria. Scarlet doesn't have orbs she can throw in a general direction and forget about it. And Scarlet's fade isn't as egregious as Moria's fade ability. When Scarlet fades, she doesn't get a free out. You can actually see where she's going, but with Moria, she goes invisible, and she can easily be on the other side of the map in a second, making it virtually impossible to kill her as she's coming out of fade. What I'm basically getting at is that every character's ability in Marvel Rivals are skill shots. You have to actually aim in that game, whereas in Overwatch, you can get away with not having good aim. Don't get it twisted though, I'm not saying that having good aim skill isn't required. In Overwatch, it most definitely is. I'm saying that you can easily climb to high rankings without needing to have a good enough shot. Now you can argue that's true with Marvel Rivals as well. In these types of games, many other factors come into play as well. Game sense, understanding team composition, counter swapping, team synergy, character ability synergy. A bunch of different shit. I just think Marvel Rivals will ultimately be a more skillful game and will require you to actually be good at the game to get these high ranks if they take whatever philosophy they have when creating the abilities for their characters like they have done with the current roster of characters in the game so far. I think the balancing is pretty good for the most part. There's some exceptions, and here is what I would do to tweak some of the characters. Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man should only get 2 web swings. One to get in and the other to get out. That's all I would do to change him. I think people who complain about Spider-Man haven't really played him. Those who have played him will tell you that he's actually a very hard character to play, and especially hard to get any sort of good value out of him when you're going up against a decent team. When you're going up against an uncoordinated team, and it seems like they're playing for themselves and not with the team, that's when Spider-Man can seem like he's a real issue. But because this is a team game, I think removing a web swing is fine for now. Thor is up next. Generally, I think Thor is in a good place right now, but I really don't like that once you use an ability, every other ability he has goes on cooldown for like a second and a half. And because of that, he just doesn't feel good to play. So I would change it so the rest of his remaining abilities won't go on cooldown. Jeff is up next. Jeff, I think, just needs better survivability. I think his healing is fine, it's not the best, and it doesn't have to be. His survivability, though, needs something. And that something, I think, should be faster movement speed while he's underwater or underground if you want to literal. I think that should help Jeff live longer, especially when he's getting jumped. Hela should get a very small damage nerf to her basic attacks when landing body shots. And I think that's all I would change, to be honest. People are probably going to bring up the Punisher, but honestly, I think he's fine. Maybe nerf the damage on his ultimate, but it's an ultimate, so in my opinion, that bitch should shred you for being an idiot and being in his LOS, and maybe slightly nerf the damage from his shotgun. You don't want to nerf it too much because he is the only tank buster in this game right now, and you have to have a tank buster if you're not going to restrict players from using the GOATS comp. But yeah, I think that's all I would do to these characters, and those are my thoughts as well. I'm sure I missed a few other characters I would like to tweak, but whatever. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys hopefully soon. Just depends if I'm lazy. Laters.